Welcome to the 7th annual Do Good Challenge Finals! My name is Bob Grimm, and it is my pleasure to be the director of the Do Good Institute. And tonight you will see how innovative Maryland students are at doing good. And by the end of the night, it will not surprise you that in recent years, the University of Maryland has risen to being ranked as one of the top 10 institutions in the country in innovation and entrepreneurship. And the president who has been responsible for that rise and for making College Park grow and be so much more impactful in so many ways is also an individual who has opened all 7 of our Do Good Challenge finals. Please welcome to the stage, President Wallace Lowe.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Bob, for your, shall we say, enthusiastic introduction. And welcome all to the 2018 Do Good Challenge. You are fired up for this year's Do Good Challenge, aren't you? When I raise my arm, I want you to yell, "Do good," so loudly that the walls of McKay Theater will shake. When we give back to our communities, we do that. When we serve others in need, we do that. When we make this a better world, we do that. We are Terps, and we do that. All right. In the mid-19th century, a French nobleman by the name of Alexis de Tocqueville traveled around this country, and he wrote a magnificent book. I'm sure you read it in high school, Democracy in America. And he said one of his great insights was that the strength of American democracy is that people come together voluntarily to work together and make a difference in their communities. Because you see, to do good is citizenship in action. To do good is the rent that we pay to live in a free society. To do good is what defines this country. It is not only what government does or does not do that define America. It is what individual citizens like you and me, sitting here, doing acts of good that shape the character of our society. And that is why citizenship is so important. And one of the ways that citizenship is expressed is by doing good, by civic engagement, which is a form of do good. One cannot do good unless one knows how to be good citizen. I say this because to set the climate, the tone for do good at this campus. This is, as you well know, the most polarized, the most divided time in our country. We are in a struggle for the heart and soul of American democracy. And it is precisely in this time that we must remember that American citizenship is not a spectator sport. American citizenship is engaging in the civic life of our communities. That is not inborn, that is taught. It is taught through courses through the Do Good Institute, for example, so that the skills and knowledge that we learn are applied to the causes of justice and fairness and equality and improving the world in a time that these blessings are greatly needed. So I will just conclude by saying, in this time that is so divided, and this has nothing to do with the politics of red or blue or purple. It has to do with being engaged as citizens in our democracy. And I will conclude by just quoting from the famous oration of Frederick Douglass, whose statue graces the front of Hornbeck Library. It is known as the composite nation oration. Composite nation being the phrase in the mid-19th century for a pluralistic, multicultural society. Frederick Douglass said, in this composite nation of ours, under law, there is no high, no low, no black, no white. There's only a common country, a common citizenship, and a common destiny. I think those words are true today. And what brings us together across our political tribes, regardless of whether we're red or blue or purple, is this commitment to the fundamental values and the quality and the character of American citizenship. And central to that quality and character is doing good in the world. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, President Lowe. The University of Maryland's Do Good campus, as President Lowe alluded, is pioneering a new model of higher education, one that works to engage every student from orientation to graduation. We take what students are passionate about and we provide them with the skills, experiences, and education to transform the world. Last year's Venture Track Do Good Challenge winner, Matt Hallister, illustrates how our Do Good campus works. Matt became aware of the fact that over $5 billion worth of viable medications are wasted every year when he lost his father to cancer. But as a first and second year Maryland student, he enrolled in an academic program that incorporated the Do Good Challenge as a class project, and he began to work on a solution to the waste of these medications. He then received Do Good mini grants, coaching, took other classes and received other supports, and developed the James Hollister Wellness Foundation, focused on saving lives by saving medications. Today, even the University Health Center is now partnering with them to providing them with expired medications that the Hollister Foundation then tests, and those that are viable, they provide to students in need. And the Hollister Foundation has already provided medications to over 17,000 individuals around the world. But Matt and the Hollister Foundation is just one example of the tremendous impacts that you're going to hear about tonight from Do Good alums and students. Let me just give you a couple of other examples of how Do Good Challenge alums have been recognized. Our 2013 Do Good Challenge winner, Juan Beloc, was recently named the Social Entrepreneur of the Year in Argentina for his NGO Microjusticia, which provides free legal services to undocumented individuals in that country. Two Do Good Challenge alums here in the audience have recently been on Forbes' list of top 30 social entrepreneurs under 30. And earlier this school year, an association of about 300 universities from around the world gave the Do Good Institute the Voinovich Public Innovation Prize due to the impact of our students. But we're just getting started, my friends. This semester, we launched a new minor in social innovation and nonprofit leadership, and every course had wait lists due to the student demand. And next semester, that's right, go ahead and applaud, that's all right, you know? And next semester, we're going to be opening a new space next to the new hotel on Baltimore Avenue, a Do Good Accelerator to further support Do Good students and alums to help them achieve the greatest potential for their projects. It has become clear, my friends, that Maryland is the destination if you want to change the world for good. And now I want to thank some important sponsors and partners that have made this night possible. And the first group that I want to express my thanks is a group that has been the lead sponsor for the Do Good Challenge Finals for 6 years. Morgan Stanley Private Wealth Management. Please give a big round of applause for our lead sponsor, Morgan Stanley Private Wealth Management. And I also want to thank Michael O'Neill, who has been a great friend to the Do Good Institute since we've begun, and an advocate. I also want to thank Freed Photography, which if you're looking for exquisite photography, look no further than Freed Photography. Freed has been a partner with us on the Do Good Challenge for all 7 years. How about a round of applause for Freed? And I also want to thank Dean Bob Orr, who is the Dean of the School of Public Policy, which houses the Do Good Institute. Dean Orr is an illustration of what Do Good stands for. He has taken a world issue like climate change and developed innovative solutions that will literally affect everyone on the planet. Please give a round of applause for Dean Bob Orr. And finally, up on our screen, you'll see a number of campus partners who would not have been possible to do the Do Good Challenge tonight without their support. And I also want to thank the Do Good Challenge team, which are also being put on our slide. These campus partners and these Do Good Challenge team members are essential to making tonight possible. Please give them all a round of applause. And I have one more group that I want to recognize. This year we piloted a Do Good Ideas program. If you think about it, the first way to achieve doing good is to really become deeply researching and understanding the issue that you're passionate about. And so we, just last week, had a Do Good Ideas competition where students had received coaching and they pitched their Do Good ideas. And all 3 winners of the Do Good Ideas competition are first-year students, which is, to me, is incredibly exciting because they got 3 more years to do good. And I'd like to ask our Do Good Idea winners who are right here in the audience to please stand and be recognized. Woo! And now, as they say, it's time for the main event. Now, for those of you this is your first Do Good Challenge, let me explain what will happen. Each of our Do Good Challenge finalists will have 5 minutes to pitch their effort and their impact. Then our judges will have 4 minutes to provide feedback and questions. But you in the audience all have a very important role, because at the end of the 6 pitches, there will be an audience choice text to vote. And the winner of the Audience Choice Award will win $2,500 for their project or venture. So you're all judges tonight. So think about, as you see these pitches, which team you want to put your one vote for to have them win the Audience Choice Award. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the judges for the project track of the Do Good Challenge. I'd ask that you please hold your applause until I've introduced all 3 of our judges. Our first judge is Khalil Kettering. He's a member of our Do Good Council. He's a former Do Good Challenge finalist, and he is the Urban Conservation Director for the largest environmental non-governmental organization in the world, the Nature Conservancy. Our second judge is Linda Powers. She's the founder of Miles for Smiles. She won the Do Good Challenge project track in 2015. Her group, Miles for Smiles, produces sustainable dental care for thousands of individuals And it would not surprise you to learn that Linda is also the president of her class at Maryland's dental school. And our last judge, representing our longtime sponsor for the Do Good Challenge, is Jed Wolfley, who is the managing director at Morgan Stanley, and he has 25 years of experience in the financial industry. Please welcome our distinguished judges for the project track of the Do Good Challenge. Now, you're going to see in a minute some very impressive projects, but I want to mention that we've had some also incredible projects in the past. For example, Terps Against Hunger recently packaged and provided their millionth meal to families in need in the local area, and they've also mobilized thousands of students across campus. And Students Helping Honduras, another project alum, has built 4 schools. And even more important, they developed a long-term partnership between the University of Maryland and those 4 schools in Honduras. In fact, over 100 Maryland students, alums, and friends travel to Honduras every year to improve the education of those children. Indeed, I want to say one last thing before we start the project track. You're going to see just about 3% of the teams that compete in the Do Good Challenge here on the stage tonight. There are hundreds of other teams who are participating, they've entered in the challenge, or there are individuals who help them develop their Do Good project or challenge. And I want us to recognize if you were a student or an alum and you've participated in the challenge or you've helped a challenge team this year or in the past, please stand and be recognized. All right, now let's get started with our 3 project finalists. These projects are student groups that are looking to make an impact for an existing cause or organization, either through advocacy, fundraising, or some other effort. Please welcome our 3 project finalists.
Please welcome Nourish, Mommy, and Me.
Imagine you are a pregnant woman walking into a food bank to receive donations. You are handed a box of pasta, a can of soup, and a bag of beans. I doubt you are able to make something appetizing from these 3 ingredients, let alone a nutritiously whole meal for you and your baby. For many women right here in the United States, this isn't just something to imagine. This is a reality. 1 in 5 pregnant women in the United States goes to bed hungry every night. And it's more than just going to bed hungry. When a pregnant woman doesn't have the resources she needs to nourish herself during her pregnancy, she is immediately starting her new baby's life at a disadvantage. It significantly increases the chances of chronic illness in her child, as well as in her grandchildren.
And this is an issue that's highly prevalent in the United States, for the U.S. ranks among the worst in developed nations for maternal health. This is also an issue in Prince George's County and Washington, D.C., for the USDA has ranked these areas as food deserts, or places where it's hard to access affordable and healthy food. That is why we exist. Nourish, Mommy, and Me envisions a world where pregnant women no longer go to bed hungry, and the babies that they give birth to are healthy, nourished with the vitamins and minerals they need from their food. Nourish holds the mission of educating pregnant women on the importance of nutrition during their pregnancy for themselves and their newborns by educating them and providing them with resources to develop long-lasting maternal health habits in their communities.
The way that we do this is through weekly donations of healthy ingredients as well as educational materials to pregnant women in need. Every week, we pick 1 recipe full of all of the healthy nutrients that a woman needs for a healthy pregnancy. We also create an education spotlight designed to teach the woman about either a fact or a resource that she should know about during her pregnancy.
Then we head to Aldi, pick up our groceries, and deliver them to one of our nonprofit partners. For example, we deliver to the Gabriel Network, a nonprofit right here in Maryland dedicated to serving women during a crisis pregnancy. One of the resources they provide the women is a maternity home, or a place that the women can live during their pregnancy.
Nourish fills a gap in the Gabriel Network services by stepping in and providing these women at the maternity home with healthy food to eat. Alethea Elliott, a life coach at the Gabriel Network, said that it is thanks to our deliveries that these women are empowered to make healthy choices. Because we are delivering to the same women every week, we are able to have a feedback survey where we can ask them what they liked and didn't like about the deliveries, and we can grow from there.
In addition to our deliveries with the Gabriel Network, we also serve the Pregnancy Aid Center, a nonprofit maternal health clinic right here in College Park. We deliver to them our non-perishable groceries, as well as our recipes and educational spotlights translated from English into Spanish. Our other partnerships with organizations such as Terps Against Hunger, the University of Maryland School of Public Health, and countless of other fraternities and organizations have allowed us to remain sustainable, using their donations and non-perishable goods so that we can save our budget for healthy, fresh ingredients.
We are a fairly young organization as we started just over a year ago last March. In that short amount of time, we have collected over 10 active members and have been able to deliver nearly 600 meals to pregnant women in need. It is thanks to our fundraising and donors that we have been able to be so successful.
However, funding is the biggest limiting factor that we face. For it costs $10 to deliver one box containing 3 meals to a mother. If we're able to serve a mom over the course of her 40-week pregnancy and 6 months of breastfeeding, we are providing nearly $600 worth of healthy groceries to her. Over the past year, we have used a $2,500 budget to serve 5 to 8 women consistently. So with $5,000, we'd be able to double the amount of women we serve per week.
Next, we would want to revamp our delivery process. We want to buy specific Nourish branded cooler packs so that we are no longer limited by refrigerator space when we are delivering, as well as increasing our brand recognition and presence.
We are very proud of all of the good that we have done on campus, and we can ensure that with an increase of funding, we'd be able to help mothers in need and continue to allow babies to develop healthily.
We want to thank you for helping us help babies.
So, is this on? Mm-hmm. So Sarah and Samantha, that's just spectacular. You can hear in your voices how important this is to you all, and it's just great to see what you've done so far. Curious how you're getting the message out. You talk about the importance of the fundraising component and your partners. How are you getting that message out?
Yeah, so we have been partnering with a lot of different organizations on campus, and we have been working with them to kind of spread our message. So for example, last semester we went to a tabling event sponsored by an organization called She's the First, and it was called Day of the Girl, and it was a time where a lot of kind of women-centered organizations came together on campus, and it was just on McKeldin Mall, and everyone came and stopped by our table and learned about us. And then outside of kind of our campus scope, we're also doing a whole lot of social media. So we are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, we have a Pinterest, we have a blog. We're really kind of using that as a way to reach people outside of our inner circles.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also thought that was amazing. I also think it's excellent you ended on a picture of an adorable child. That was a great touch. So my question for you, you're getting all your groceries at Aldi's, correct? Do they realize that they're contributing to this awesome organization? Have you reached out to them about potentially kind of creating a partnership with them, getting some type of discount?
So they're actually not aware of what we're doing with them, but I think in the future we hope to establish a relationship with them or a similar organization just so we can, reduce our costs and continue to grow as an organization.
Awesome.
Very nice, very compelling. You mentioned that you're an organization. So I'm curious how this prize money that you get helps to take you to that next step in the long term past what you could just accomplish with this money right now.
Yeah, so we're operating as a student organization, and one of the main reasons that we're operating as this way is so that even though I'm a junior and she's a sophomore, in 3 years when the both of us are gone, Nourish can still continue on this campus. So with this additional funding, we'll be able to reach out and help even more women on a consistent basis. So right now we're helping about 5 women every week, and with this funding, we'd be able to double our efforts and do the most amount of good that we can.
And I have one other question. What have you learned from this process that you would do differently moving forward with the prize money?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've kind of shifted from the beginning of when we started last year, so we were providing women with 3 recipes and all of the ingredients to make those 3 recipes, but we got feedback from the moms that they're pretty busy. They don't want to try 3 new recipes in a day. So now one of our big goals is to kind of focus on refining that feedback system so that we can hear more about what exactly they want for the following week so that we can make sure that we are accommodating them to the best of our ability. Thank you.
No further questions.
Thank you.
Now, please welcome scholars promoting and revitalizing care.
Who is your best friend? Think about all your favorite memories together. Think about what makes them your best friend. Now I want you to imagine that person sitting in front of you right now, broken, alive but lifeless. Their body is there, but their soul is gone. That is exactly how my best friend described me the night that I wanted to give up 3 weeks into my second semester as a freshman here at the University of Maryland. That was the night that I realized just how much help I really needed. But I was lucky. I was diagnosed as an emergency and I saw a counselor right away. I don't know what I would have done if I had to wait a week, let alone 30 days. When people ask me why I wanted to start this campaign, that story is what I tell them.
1 in 3 Terps will feel too depressed to function. Students have waited 30 or more days to see a counselor at the counseling center. To better understand this mental health crisis, we developed and administered a mental health survey to over 350 College Park Scholar students. 72% of these respondents registered stress or emotional difficulties that influence their academic performance or well-being at least 2 or more times a week. These are the statistics that inspired us, scholars promoting and revitalizing care, to launch a mental health advocacy movement 30 days too late. Our campaign seeks to address the inaccessibility, underfunding, and understaffing of critical, life-changing mental health resources at the University of Maryland.
On February 14th, we officially started our campaign by personally writing a letter to President Lowe encouraging the administration to recognize that Terps are in crisis. 1 week later, we emailed this letter to 1,200 top faculty and administrators, educating them about our movement as well as how to recognize when a student is in crisis. In 2 short months, we hosted 6 awareness events where numerous letters of students' mental health experiences were collected. 30 of these letters were delivered to President Lowe and his executive team, showing them that Terps are indeed in crisis. This directly led to President Lowe writing a response acknowledging our movement. In addition, the Counseling Center is now in process of hiring 5 new full-time counseling psychologists. Spark has been invited and is participating in this interview process. Throughout our campaign, we estimate that we have reached over 100,000 individuals. Dr. Clement, the Vice President of Student Affairs, acknowledged the mental health crisis in an email that went to 52,000 Terps. We directly engaged with over 1,500 students at awareness events. 5 Diamondback articles were written relating to our movement. And 9,000 of our mental health resource cards were distributed at our awareness events and now sit on community desks in resident halls. There's also one of these cards underneath each of your seats right now.
The impact and the partnerships we've established this semester will catapult our campaign into the following year. With Resident Life, over 375 posters relating to mental health will now blanket all of the residence halls on campus during the most stressful time of the year as a direct result of our advocacy. In addition, Resident Life has asked us to be a part of their mental health review committee to reassess their mental health policies. With the counseling and the health center, we established a Spark liaison to further connect our student group with top mental health professionals on this campus, meeting monthly with their directors. And with the SGA, we plan to make mental health resources here more accessible for students next semester. In a little under 2 months, we fundamentally changed the culture surrounding mental health on this campus. But so much more must be accomplished by us and the university before we can proudly say that mental health is a priority. $5,000 makes mental health a priority next semester. $2,500 certifies the North Campus case manager as a mental health first aid trainer, the first of its kind at UMD. Resident Life and the North Campus case manager have agreed to train 50 RAs by the end of the year. That supports over 6,000 students on campus. This is a program that focuses deeply on mental health awareness and how to interact and intervene with a student in crisis. 2,500, the remaining 2,500, allows us to bring a mental health professional trained in resiliency to College Park to guide Spark and our new partnerships in the creation of a new mental health resiliency program. Scholars has green-lighted us to potentially pilot this program for 60 students by next semester. But the real potential lies in the fact by the fall of 2019, we can train an entire incoming freshman class of Scholar students, over 900 Terps, in how to better take care of themselves and how to take care of others and what mental health looks like in a college environment.
I was one of the lucky ones. I advocated for myself that night, and I still am. But there are hundreds of students on this campus that don't know how to do that. Mental health first aid and resiliency training will change that. So we are asking you today, will you help us create a generation of lifesavers? Thank you.
I'm sure you can tell by that applause that you definitely hit the audience. I got chills from your personal account, Kristen. That was absolutely heartbreaking, but also beautiful and moving. So my question for you is, how many students are on the leadership team for Spark?
So we currently have 10 executive board members that have been in charge of this campaign, but in addition, we have about 20 active general body members that have helped us.
Okay. That was my only question.
Very good presentation. I like that you led with a story. Your passion was palpable. I think you had everybody engaged. One of the difficult things about something like this is measuring success and metrics for success and how you track those and how you can know that you're attributing success to your efforts. And so I'm curious how you guys are thinking about that and approaching that for the future.
Absolutely. So right now, Resident Life and College Park Scholars, because of our partnership with them, both have a vested interest in piloting both of these programs. So we plan to, we created a mental health survey, and what we plan to do with that survey is to broaden that and bring that in, with our partnership with Resident Life and the Scholars to really track the success of both of these programs. And because Resident Life has agreed to, train 50 RAs, they have a vested interest too in the outcome. And I think given the statistics and where we're at as a mental health crisis, I really do believe that, the measures will be both. So, yeah. Got lost in my brain, sorry. Yeah.
Listen, you're on live stage. It happens all the
Yeah.
time, right? I mean, we've all been there, trust
Yeah.
me. Your story is, your presentation fabulous, the topic incredibly relevant to Student Campus. Your story is moving, but your story is brave. Get up here in front of a group and tell a story like that opens you up. It's a quality that will serve you really, really well in life.
Thank you.
Your ability to share that story does something incredibly important, and to the issue that you're addressing, it's eliminating the fear of being alone, and by you opening up, shows and tells other people that there are many of us in this world who face things that are difficult at times, and a lending hand is really what's needed. I mean, congratulations on that to you personally. It's
Thank you.
wonderful. I'm also going to give you an opportunity one more time to make an impression with this project. You've already made an impact with a lot of things that you've discussed. The critical time that you mentioned when people first on board and away from home in often cases produces a lot of this. If you could have this university change something about the beginning stages of somebody coming on campus to address this, and you could tell somebody in this audience who that would be, what would it be?
I'm sorry, could you repeat? I'm trying to
Sure.
understand it.
If you could actually impact what happens when a student comes on, get the campus to change something, what would it be?
So for the campus, for the university to change
For
something.
the students coming on campus, what that process is like, what would you change?
So what we would, our long-term goal, I would say, is, so for North Campus, there's a disconnect between the students in the counseling center and the peer help programs that all rely on South Campus. So the reason why our long-term goal would be to place a satellite institution on North Campus. That's a very long-term goal, takes millions of dollars. So in the meantime, because the help of rate seeking for first-year students is 12%, what we're doing is we're taking this mental health resiliency program and we're placing it in the community that needs it the most and connecting them with those resources.
Yeah, in addition, I remember when I finally did go seek help, I had to ask countless people where to go. When I first came here, I'm from very far out of state, I'm from Florida. So I didn't have, a real community around me to help me. And I was never told that there was a counseling center. I didn't know that there were also counselors in the health center. And a lot of freshmen coming here don't know that, and they don't know that there's all these resources here for them, but they need to be amplified. And the very first thing I would change in addition to this resiliency training is to have some sort of education at orientation or in the University 100 classes to let people know that there are these resources there to help them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, please welcome Terpthon.
Everyone, meet Samara. Samara was diagnosed with nephrotic syndrome, a form of kidney disease that prevents her body from breaking down proteins. At just 4 years old, Samara had her kidneys removed through her belly button in a cutting-edge surgery at Children's National. After spending 53 weeks on dialysis, Samara and her family received life-changing news. The hospital had finally found a donor kidney for Samara. Because of Terpthon and because of Children's National, Samara's condition is currently in remission, but her fight's not over yet. Despite a future full of more painful procedures and long hospital stays, Samara never lets her illness define her. In fact, after her kidney transplant in January of 2017, Samara was up on stage rocking out in front of 3,000 Terps at our dance marathon event just 3 months later. Samara is just one of so many other kids. Right now, there are 323 kids in hospital beds at Children's. Samara got the chance to go home and to be a kid again, but not everyone's as lucky. Children's treats over 200,000 kids every year. Kids right here in our community that need our help.
Terpthon is a year-long movement to support patients and families fighting pediatric illness in our local community. We raise funds and awareness for the kids at Children's National Health System through peer-to-peer fundraising and campus-wide engagement. Our efforts culminate in a 12-hour dance marathon held on campus each March. Terpthon is completely student-run by a team of over 300 members, whose passion and commitment this past year allowed us to connect with over 2,600 Terps across 100 student groups, accounting for 10% of our undergraduate community. Through our efforts, we are not only making a difference at Children's National, but making a difference here on campus. We are building a community of passionate student leaders who are able to further champion our cause and increase our impact. In just 9 years, Terpthon has raised over $4.2 million for the kids. And every penny of our yearly fundraising totals has gone on to directly impact each and every patient who walks through the doors of Children's National.
The funds we raise go towards transforming the patient experience, supporting cutting-edge innovation and research, and ensuring no child is ever turned away from care due to an inability to pay. We also support services not covered by insurance, such as child life specialists who help kids understand their illness and treatment, art therapy to give kids an outlet to express their emotion, and an inpatient healing garden so kids can escape the stresses of their hospital room and enjoy the outdoors. While the money we raise does make a tangible difference in the lives of patients and families, it also gifts them with one of the most powerful resources of all, hope.
An example of this hope can be seen at Bear Station 1. This nurses station, named after Terpthon this past summer, serves as a constant reminder of our impact on the hospital and ensures that every patient knows they have a community of University of Maryland students fighting right alongside them.
We fight for even the tiniest patients at Children's National. Right now, there are 54 babies in the neonatal intensive care unit. Everyone take out your phone and place it in the palm of your hand. This is the size of many of those babies fighting to survive right now. Terpthon gives these babies the best chance possible at growing up stronger. The funds we raise go towards big purchases in the NICU, such as machines that help babies failing lungs, but every single dollar makes such a huge impact here. Just $1 can buy 8 micropreemie diapers for the hospital's littlest patients. These are just some of the examples of the impact Terpthon has been able to make on this hospital and on this campus.
Do Good funding would be transformational in allowing us to spread awareness and increase our presence on campus. Unlike other fundraising organizations, Terpthon takes absolutely no money out of donations to cover our operational costs. This ensures that 100% of every dollar donated goes directly to the greatest area of need in the hospital. However, this leaves us working on a very small operational budget that can make potential campaigns or initiatives prohibitively expensive.
Over the past 9 years, we've seen our internal team's fundraising grow. But as we're hitting capacity in the work our team can do, we need to focus on engaging groups who still have room to increase their impact. Through targeted engagement efforts, we'd be able to create a larger community of do-good Terps right here on campus.
And together, we will inspire hope and healing for Samara, for our heroes in the NICU, and for the kids.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. My first question is, are alums allowed to come to the dance party?
Most definitely.
Okay. So you mentioned, what was the number, 4 million you mentioned?
4.2 million.
4.2 million. And it sounds like you've done a lot of great work with it. So help me to think past my initial reaction of, what does 5,000 do when you've raised 4.2 million already, when we've heard from 2 other compelling arguments that 5,000 could be a huge splash for them.
So over the past 9 years, we've definitely learned how to use money and kind of what works and what doesn't work. Like we mentioned, we do have a pretty strong internal team, and this year they actually raised about 40% of our total. So we're definitely realizing that we're hitting capacity in what they can do. And to further engage outside groups to help them kind of help us grow, we need to put funds and resources into creating engagement efforts for them. So a couple of examples of this could be a student leader night where we invite student leaders from across organizations on campus to come together and hear patient stories or hear stories from staff at Children's, learn about our cause and the impact they individually can have, as well as the impact that their organization can have. So we send them off with resources and we give them time to collaborate together to kind of share best practices or things that they want to try to accomplish that year. We also would like to add a second fall event. So right now we do have a color run that is primarily marketed towards our freshman community. And by creating a second fall event, we'd be able to engage second, third, fourth year dancers, as well as student organizations in Greek life, really all year long instead of just in the spring semester.
And my final question is, I said in jest about alums coming to dance, but are you guys targeting the alums in some of your fundraising efforts?
So we actually have an extremely strong Terpthon alumni network. So this is a network made up of past dancers, executive board members, and planning team members, and they have their entire own structure that we help support year-round. But alumni are definitely some of our strongest supporters, and we welcome them back to Dance Marathon every year.
So congratulations. You hit it on the head. This is an absolute win-win. You win for these kids who have no one to fight for them other than people such as yourselves and the organizations that can actually provide the care that they need. And you've created a culture, you're creating a culture on a campus that is incredibly powerful, that is sustainable and has years to grow and be bigger and bigger and bigger, and something that this campus could be known for. Question for you is, how have you been able to, or have you really been able to leverage a very large media market that can help you in your efforts? Is this something that I see on TV? Can I see it on TV? Can I hear it on radio? How does the word get out to the public off campus?
So I think as of right now, our efforts are primarily targeted towards campus. As Kate mentioned, we're still working very hard to engage our entire campus community for our cause, but we are working as much as we can to engage with media outlets outside of our campus. We have a public relations team as one of our planning team committees, and their main focus is to do everything in their power to share our cause, not only on campus, but in the surrounding campus community and Maryland as a whole, in order to make sure everyone knows the amazing work that students right here at the University of Maryland are doing.
All right, great job, guys. I'd like to echo the positive remarks from my fellow judges. You guys are amazing. That's incredible. 4.2 million, geez. Anyway, my question for you is, so I understand some of the patients that you were able to help come to the Terpthon event. Are there any other aspects of patient, like personal interaction, people that support this cause can get? Can they volunteer to kind of see what impact they're having, where their money's going?
Yeah, so we do have Miracle Kids. So Miracle Kids are patients who have been or are still undergoing treatment at Children's National. At all of our large-scale events, we invite them to come. We invite their families to talk just so that they can see how hard we're working for them and our students can see them. We also make sure that we incorporate some sort of inspiration station or a place where students can go and get connected to our cause. They can read or they can experience just a little bit of the hospital if they're not able to actually go to the hospital. And we also encourage everybody in our organization to go on hospital visits. These are visits that we set up that have areas of we visit areas of the hospital where Terpthon money has made a specific impact. Actually, just on Sunday, our executive board was able to go. We were able to see areas like the Healing Garden and the Bear Station, just so we can see exactly where our impact is going and where the money is.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, how about one more round of applause for all three of our project finalists? And now I'm going to ask our 3 judges to retire to the green room to determine who will get the first, second, and third places for the project track. Thank you, judges. And we're going to transition to the venture track of the Do Good Challenge. The venture track is student-created businesses or nonprofits focused on making a social impact. And we've had many impressive Do Good ventures in the past. In fact, I have often described the Do Good Challenge as a cross between Shark Tank and American Idol. And just a couple of years ago, one of our Do Good Challenge alums, Evan Lutz, actually won money on Shark Tank for his company Hungry Harvest, which has a mission to address food waste and hunger. And now I want to introduce our 3 also impressive judges for the venture track. Please hold your applause until all 3 judges arrive. Our first judge is Michelle Gilliard. She's a partner at the Innovative Venture Philanthropy Partners, and she was formerly the senior director of the Walmart Foundation, which invested over $1 billion a year in social impact efforts. And Michelle is also an alum of many Do Good challenges. Our second judge is a Do Good Council member, a 2-time Pulitzer Prize winner, and she also inspired and led a Do Good Challenge winner called Press Uncuffed, a team that has been credited with helping release multiple journalists abroad who are unjustly imprisoned, Dana Priest. And our final judge is Ben Simon, the first winner of our 2012 Do Good Challenge. Ben created a group called the Food Recovery Network that grew from Maryland to 235 college campuses. It's become the leading student movement against food waste and hunger. Ben has been on Forbes' list of top 30 social entrepreneurs under 30. And he is now the CEO and founder of a company headquartered on the West Coast that has the slogan, "Buy Ugly," and sells ugly produce and has already recovered and sold over 16 million pounds of food. Please give a big round of applause to Ben Simon, Dana Priest, and Michelle Gilliard. All right, let's dive into our 3 Do Good Challenge venture finalists.
Please welcome Recyclify.
Have you ever stood in front of a recycling bin and have been left confused, not knowing where to throw away your stuff and have just given up and thrown it in the trash? Well, this misplaced trash ends up in landfills, like the Maryland one behind me. Landfills pollute the environment and release powerful greenhouse gases, resulting in worsening extreme weather conditions such as Hurricane Harvey, Maria, and Irma. Now, to make matters worse, approximately 75% of the American waste stream is recyclable, but we only choose to recycle about 30% of it. It's a complicated problem, but the solution is simple. For example, if all of you decided to recycle just the program that you have received for this event, we could power the air conditioning in your house for over a week.
And that is what has inspired us to create a solution that we call Recyclify, where our vision is to completely eliminate contamination in waste bins by simplifying recycling. And we can attain that vision with our Smart Bin that helps you sort your waste properly, as well as our app that has 3 key features. And that first feature is directions. So let's say you have a Starbucks cup in your hand. Our app will tell you exactly how and where to put that cup. And we provide these directions because students actually have a pretty hard time when it comes to proper waste disposal. Our second feature is incentives. So if you do throw away that cup properly, you get points, which you can redeem for rewards. And we provide these rewards because we've discovered that through our own market research that over 90% of Recyclify users identify incentives as the main motivating factor behind proper waste disposal. Our third feature is environmental impact. So we want to make sure that you know you're actually helping the environment by simply throwing away your waste properly. So for example, we could tell you that, hey, you've actually saved enough energy to power your phone for an entire day. Now, unfortunately, UMD is no exception to the American waste problem, which is why we took those three features, our app as well as our bin, and piloted them at the most contaminated building on campus, Stamp Student Union.
Yes. The recycling bins in the Stamp Student Union only have about 46% of it being correct. So as you can see on the slide right here. That means that the 54% is all contamination. For trash, that number is about only 19% correct, meaning that that 81% is made up of either recyclable or compostable material all in the trash. For compost, that number is about 87%. So when contamination is this bad, entire recycling bins are thrown into landfill. And this has placed a serious strain on the Recycling Center's contract with our University of Maryland. With Recyclify, this isn't a problem. Yes, Recyclify users have been able to generate a 92% recycling rate. For trash, a 96% success rate. And for compost, a 95% success rate. So we've been able to solve a problem that schools have been trying to fix for years. And we've done so with a simple pilot and prototype of our system.
Now we can help maintain these low contamination rates with a fact-checking mechanism that we completely developed in-house. As you can see, I apologize for the small screen, but we've already logged on to the Recyclify app here and told it that we're about to throw away a Chick-fil-A bag. Now the directions say you need to put the sauce packet into the trash, but we're not going to do that by placing it in the bag.
Barbecue sauce.
So Artie's going to put in the compost bin, and we're going to see what the app says. All right, so you can see it says try again because we got it wrong, so we're going to go ahead and do just that, try again. All right, so I'm going to tell the app that I'm throwing away a Chick-fil-A bag. Same exact directions, except this time we're going to follow them by throwing away a completely empty bag. So let's see what the app says this time. As you can see, it says I did a great job. Now, with this technology that we've developed, we can change the entire smart waste collection industry.
So, as Chris said, we are operating in a brand new, fast-growing market that's a segment within the Internet of Things industry, which is obviously valued at over $157 billion. So we first aim to capture about 10% of our market. And our first and main revenue stream will come from contracts with schools where they can use our system to reduce their contamination rates, I've seen over here. Our second revenue stream will come from businesses where they'll gain access to our marketing platform so they can increase their foot traffic, and their conversion rates. And all this would be through highly targeted campaigns that will be available through our app. So for schools, we'll charge about $650 per smart bin that we have created and $10,000 a month for our software package. For the marketing platform, this is for the businesses, it'll be about $100 a month for access to our marketing portal. So in the first year, we looked to just work with one school, most likely the University of Maryland, but we looked at by the third year, we want to be working with 15 schools and generating $2.6 million in revenue, and that's our projections.
Now, in terms of our competition, we are the only system that provides incentives, education, as well as real-time waste audits. Now, with the $5,000 that we look to receive, we want to create even better versions of our bin to produce the best possible solution to the waste problem. Now, as you've seen, with what we created, we've been able to produce amazing results, and that was with just $1,900. So this is where we invite each and every one of you to join us at Recyclify, so that together we can put an end to contamination and waste bins. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you, gentlemen. That was a very well done presentation and a very interesting idea. I'm impressed. Interesting. I want to ask a question about the incentive structure.
Absolutely.
So you talked about having a variety of revenue streams, and you gave the example of how you've done an excellent job. The pilot that you've done here at the university sounds excellent, of having incentives. How are you thinking about the incentive structure when you think about the other revenue streams you're going to be working with, and what would be the right incentives for those populations?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, obviously, 100% of our users are college students. And we believe that incentives could be as simple as, a free Chick-fil-A sandwich, a free Maryland Dairy ice cream, insomnia cookies, these types of things. Because, obviously, most college students have they're kind of broke, they need a little bit of food. So we're gonna, help them with that just by recycling simply. So that's the incentive, and that's where it was based off. As far as the structure for businesses, obviously, when we work with colleges, the businesses that we're gonna work with are all local, so based around the school or within the school. And what that means is that more than likely, about 90% of their customers are really gonna be students, like specifically for these food places. And we can give them highly targeted demographic data. So for example, male, female, their majors, stuff like that, and they can create these promotions through our app. And the difference between just doing that and maybe putting it on like Instagram or something like that is that, obviously the users have worked hard, the students have worked hard to earn their points, and they wanna use them, they wanna redeem them. So they're actively looking for those incentives from the businesses. So it gives them a real way to increase the foot traffic without looking spammy, without looking something that people don't wanna look at. It's a marketplace for students and these local businesses to find and give each other the best, sales and obviously promotions. Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's a wonderful idea. It's a big problem that needs to be solved. So I have 3 quick questions.
Absolutely.
And hopefully quick answers. Is the box size, can you change the box size?
Yeah, so since this is just our prototype, we made it a little bigger than we planned to, but of course in the future when we implement it into the real world, we're going to make it a little more condensed so that it's more accessible.
And so what if a student really is incentivized, really wants to get it right, but they get it wrong the first time? They reach into the, how do they?
Oh no, so in the future we're actually going to have a door mechanism so that when you log on to the app, it opens, that allows you to throw it away, and then once you've logged out and you're done throwing away your waste, it'll close back up.
Okay. And what's the incentive for the school to pay you $10,000 to do this? How much money would they actually save?
So schools actually are very willing to pay big money just to educate students. So actually one of our competitors actually charges $50,000 upfront as well as $10,000 a month, and that's just for educational outreach for students. So essentially what they do is have you take quizzes, and they also, provide you with information. And if let's say you get those quizzes right, you get points, and similar to us, you can get rewards for them as well. So our schools are very willing to pay big bucks, again, just to educate students, but we provide more than that.
Yeah. We provide real-time data. They can see, actively monitor what's being thrown in the bins, what items are more likely to lead to contamination, which items are the most recycled, the least recycled. So it gives them tools to be able to be more effective at their goals, and I guess our goals of eliminating contamination in these bins once and for all.
And actually, one of the goals of the recycling specialists at our school was to actually go to Panda Express and say, hey, students are actually throwing away this plastic container incorrectly a lot. And so she was proposing, hey, can you use a compostable bowl instead? So if she were to have our data, she would have that evidence that, hey, people are actually doing it incorrectly. So they can use our data to do campaigns to say, hey, we want to actually create a change.
So really, to recap, we're like a one-stop shop. All these things the school's already paying for. They pay the SCS engineers to do audits for them. That costs about $25,000 just for one audit. Our thing is every day, 24/7, and it's accessible by anyone. It's not just filed in a binder. So that's one thing. The education is a big goal for many schools because that's the main reason why we don't know how to recycle. And all that is just paired up into one system for them that they could just get all that at once. So they don't have to go to different.
Thank you.
Great presentation, guys. Really, really important issue. I remember not too long ago being at TERP and seeing the same exact problem, walking around McKeldin Mall and seeing recycling bins full of trash and trash bins full of recycling bins, and like just driving me crazy because I do know that they, if you contaminate it, they really can't do too much with that.
Yeah.
So super, super important. One clarifying question about your technology with the demo that you did. Did you, basically, you're saying that the bin itself detected that the first time it didn't have, what was it, barbecue sauce?
Barbecue sauce.
In the bag, but the second time, or vice versa?
Yeah, correct.
Wow.
Yeah, that was all built in-house.
I mean, I'm not a technology guy, but I'm blown away. I mean, how does that work?
So we actually have sensors and metrics, and as well as our own proprietary software that we've implemented so that we can actually make sure that, hey, whatever you say you're throwing away is actually accurate.
So yeah, that's
Wow. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, that seems like that's the real deal. I mean, that's super impressive technology to build. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Give it up for these guys. And, you know, one quick kind of follow-up comment or idea is that it seems like you might consider, or have you considered kind of putting like a red or green light that kind of like lights
so
up?
that's exactly have that.
Oh, you actually have
it's just
that.
not powered because like there's enough IT things to worry about. But yeah,
Okay.
so users now when they recycle
I like
correctly,
that.
they get a green light immediately, and then when they recycle incorrectly, they get a red light. Some people say, oh, that's maybe deterring people, that makes them feel bad. But the reality is it gives them instant feedback, and it acts as an educational platform. So like,
Oh, that's huge.
What did I do wrong? Oh, okay, it was the barbecue sauce. All right, next time they'll come back and get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to make sure that you don't make the same mistake twice, that's what the light's there for.
Yeah, correct.
Never accidentally try to recycle barbecue sauce twice. never get burned by that one twice in a row. No, I really like that. Really like that. Great job, guys. Great job.
Now, please welcome Symbiont Health.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Eric.
Maria.
And we are Symbiont Health. Now, just by a show of hands in here, how many of you know a loved one, especially someone older, who has experienced a fall? Wow, that's a lot of you. Well, this is my grandmother. And just over a year ago, she had a fall of her own. Unfortunately, she broke the crown of her hip and had to drag herself along the floor to call for help. I learned after her follow-up from nurses and geriatricians that elderly falls are a gigantic issue. About 35 million of them occur each year in the United States alone. That's one fall in every 4 seconds. So what's even out there to help, right? Well, you have Life Alert, which is famous for their slogan, "Help, I've fallen and I can't get up." Come on, let's get in there. There we go. It was built all the way back in 1987, right? Super old product. My grandmother actually had one at the time, and the thing is, it didn't even help in this situation. So I was looking for new solutions, and the thing is, we're left with the same exact product over 30 years later. This is the latest and greatest from Philips, called Lifeline. But studies show that these pendants are 96% ineffective because falls just don't happen at convenient times. Over 40% of them are due to syncope, which is a sudden loss of consciousness. So you're not even gonna press the button if you're on the floor unconscious, right? That's why we started by building an automated wearable for fall detection. Let's get there. We tested at a nursing home with over 40 patients and logged about 20,000 hours of monitoring. However, we fell into two big setbacks. One was that it was a logistical nightmare for these nurses to take care of all these devices. And secondly, seniors, no matter how pretty we made it, just would not keep the wearable on. I'm so mad.
So, introducing the new Symbiont product. So our new fall detection system doesn't require any wearables, pendants, or bodily sensors to detect falls. So this is a pretty big claim. How does this all work? Well, you'd place one of our devices in a room. It would emit a wireless signal that would bounce off of walls, humans, and objects. This is similar to how a bat would navigate a dark cave using echolocation, but instead of using sound, we're using electromagnetic waves. We have negotiated a license for software from University of Maryland that allows us to take these reflections and create a three-dimensional model of the space. 2 to 3 of our devices can cover an entire building. We're planning to charge $300 per hardware device, an additional monthly fee of $30 per patient, which is comparable to the wearables currently on the market. So falls have a unique motion pattern that we can identify. Our system is 95% accurate within the first 5 minutes. That number goes up to 100% at the 15-minute mark. So why is this important? Well, the risk of death from an elderly fall doubles past the 15-minute mark on the ground. After we detect the fall, we send a customized alert to caregivers through their phone or our patient portal, allowing them to respond quicker and more effectively, saving lives.
So falls are just the beginning. We're also tackling the huge problem of caregiver worry. Throughout my years working at Washington Adventist Emergency Room, I've learned a lot about the intricacies surrounding an elderly fall. Caregivers, whether it's a registered nurse or a family member, spends on average 21 hours a week providing care or doing mandatory check-ins, and falls rank as the #1 source of worry for families ahead of missed medication and wandering. Using the Symbion platform, we will tell you how your grandparent is doing today. We provide data on steps taken, hours spent in bed, vital signs, and with a location tracking capability, Symbion offers a truly holistic solution that will save time, allowing caregivers to provide better quality of care. Currently, 35 million elderly falls occurs in the United States every single year. With 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every day, this number is only going to increase. And then when you expand it globally, the potential for impact is endless. This summer, we are working with 3 nursing homes of 315 residents in order to launch our pilot program. By the year 2020, we will not only continue our expansion into nursing homes, but also utilize the data and knowledge that we've gained from testing at these facilities in order to expand our product into independent homes as well. Our current financial model projects that this will generate a revenue of $8 million. With the $5,000 in funding, we will use it for testing, hardware, and development, as well as legal fees.
Now, our team has the hardware, medical, and software background to pull this off. We've raised over $30,000 in the past year from 5 sources. We've also partnered with 3 retirement communities now, one of which, Manor Care, has trusted us enough to negotiate a $20,000 consulting contract. We've also partnered with MedStar Innovation Institute, which has given us access to a 7-hospital system in the DMV area. So, Symbion Health was founded because of my grandmother, and I wanted to help her. Now, we have learned that we can expand our impact to aid everyone who just raised their hand in this room, TERPs everywhere, and families around the world. So please join Symbion Health in our journey to accelerate rescue and save lives. Thank you.
Okay, great job, great job. I remember you from last year, so I'm familiar with the concept, except you've totally changed it on me. So I have to say, wow, I don't understand how this is gonna work. Like, are you gonna put a mechanism in everybody's room? And then what happens if you're in a room and a chair falls over? How do you know the difference between a chair and a human?
Yeah, great question. So in your first question, with like how many devices do we need? We don't need a device in every single room. It would basically have the reception of like a Wi-Fi router. So 2 to 3 of our devices can probably cover like an entire floor or like a building, depending on the size. And with the, I guess, false positives from a chair, there's different patterns between like a person falling and a chair falling and the steady state of the room that we know. So we know if there's like a chair in the room, if you take the chair out of the room, there's gonna be a different like pattern for like the floor.
So are you saying that do you have to have some kind of detector in the room where the person is? Or what is it actually?
Yeah, so we would have one of our hardware devices, which is similar to like a Wi-Fi router, and probably like one for like every 2 to 3 rooms.
Mm-hmm. And do you have competitors in this market?
So this device is, or at least the software that we're licensing is pretty novel from University of Maryland. There's some companies doing similar things, but the technology from Maryland is one of the best that we've seen.
So are you taking a technology that is already being used in some other application, or is this new to what you're doing?
Right, this is new to fall detection. So the product and the technology is initially invented for smart homes, but we found the way to bring it to elderly retirement homes and tackle the whole issue of elderly falls.
Okay, thanks.
Great presentation, guys. Really impressive again. Definitely strikes me as one of those where, as you have the technology there, I mean, this is huge. Like, I mean, it's obviously huge, total addressable market size, you know, and then in terms of the incumbents, you know, they've been around for 20, 30 years. It sounds like this is a clear innovation, way better than what's out there. You know, again, kind of assuming that technology works and also assuming you can close the door behind you. So I guess I'm wondering, you mentioned about the technology that it runs on that was developed at University of Maryland. Do you already have an exclusive license on that? I guess what's to stop a competitor from coming in behind you and using that same exact technology?
Yeah, we've negotiated exclusive terms on the area in which we're licensing, so anyone age 65 and over.
You've got that as a legal agreement?
Yeah, exactly. We're in the process of negotiating, actually.
Oh, you're in the process of negotiating that currently?
Okay. In terms of also the percentage of net sales as well.
Got it. Great. And then is there anything else you can tell us about kind of studies that have taken place about your technology to sort of prove that it's really, you know, reliable? I know you mentioned after 15 minutes, it's like 100% reliable. I'm curious why it takes being on the ground for 15 minutes for it to like 100% be there, or how that kind of works over time. Is there anything else you can share with the audience?
Yeah, so going on the credibility of, I guess, like the technology, so the professor that was working on it, he's on the board of IEEE, and their research paper on this won one of the best research papers of the year in 2015 on this topic. And in terms of, I guess, your question of the technology becoming accurate over time, as you're on the ground for a longer period of time, the steady state of the room changes and it decreases, and we're able to sense that and basically predict with more certainty that something has changed, someone's probably fallen, and they're not moving again.
Got it. Cool. Yeah.
So this is brilliant and resonates well with me. I once had life alert on my father, and I got a call because he hadn't responded, and he was actually out mowing the lawn on a riding mower. So when there's a real emergency, we need to know. A couple questions. One about the movement of the room, the change of the room. So if there's a pet, if there's a dog, if there's a cat, how does that potentially interfere with determining whether or not it's a human on the ground or it's something else going on, or somebody was sitting and they're up and moving again? How do we define that?
Yeah, great question. So the movement patterns from like, I guess like a smaller animal like a dog or cat are much different than, I guess, in terms of like their magnitude than like a human walking around. So we're able to see that something smaller is changing, and we're able to say that that's not going to be a human.
Yeah, we always get questions about the pets too.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a Great Dane jumping off a couch, that might be a false positive. But in the event of false positives, we always say it's better to have a false positive than a false negative.
Sure.
And that's also why we're building it in controlled environments in nursing homes, so we're calling a nurse rather than an expensive ambulance.
2 other quick questions. Thank you. What's the biggest weakness in the technology today?
Yeah, great question. So the biggest weakness in the technology today is basically, I guess, like the lack of data that's readily available. So differentiating between different people is probably like the biggest weakness, but over time, just based on the devices alone, we're gonna be able to differentiate between, I guess, when you have like 100 people in the room and like someone falls, we're able to say with certainty. That's probably like the hardest challenge that we're figuring out today.
Right. Last question related to this. While $5,000 would certainly be helpful, what kind of seed capital do you really need? If you're going to be talking to MedStar and to these other nursing homes, what kind of seed capital do you really need to test this and figure out how to get it to market?
Yeah, sure. I really want Maria to answer this one. But the overall idea, yeah, you answer.
Okay.
Maria, please.
Okay, well, so for our pilot program, we need $50,000, and while we're closed, and the University of Maryland has been so helpful. We've had people reaching out to us, like asking to help us be a part of this. It's been amazing. But $5,000 would definitely go a long way with that. And with our like revenue projections, it's kind of like each year is building off of the next. So with our pilot program, we essentially only need $50,000 for this summer.
And what does that $50,000 do?
So our license agreement, the devices, the hardware, and we need a little bit more for legal costs. But yeah, it was essentially implemented. And Manor Care we're negotiating with them to cover some of the costs of the hardwares.
Okay, thank you.
So I have one more. I can't pass up the app that you said comes with this, where the loved ones can track their parents. That's a good thing, but might also drive nursing homes crazy. I can see all these people calling when they think something's happened. So how would that actually work with someone who's off location? Would you expect them to call the nursing home and say something, or what?
You should discuss.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
The app that you you talked about, you said that loved ones would be able to see what was going on. Maybe I misunderstood. So you'd have people at home calling their nursing home saying, hey, I think my father's fallen, or what?
So essentially, this would be implemented into the nursing home system for our pilot program and until we launch into independent homes. So it would contact the nurses first. So nurses each have like a few individual rooms in a nursing home that they're in charge of, and then there's a charge nurse. So they would deal with that in case of a fall. With the parents, like the families and stuff like that, it's kind of like they can see their progression over time and like data about how they're doing over time. They will be notified in the event of a fall, but hopefully the nurse has already, taken care of it and that it'll be settled.
Great. I think that's probably all the time we have. Thanks a lot, guys. Please give them a round of applause.
Please welcome Synapto.
Imagine your mother forgetting your own name. Imagine grandmother at home alone, cooking, forgetting that she's cooking, and setting the house on fire. Imagine picking up your grandfather at the airport and him walking right by you because he doesn't recognize who you are or where he is. Both of our families have experienced this. My name is Dhruv Patel.
My name is Christopher Look.
And we're the co-founders of Synapto, a biotechnology venture aiming to revolutionize the diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. So Alzheimer's disease is the sixth leading cause of death in the United States, costing U.S. taxpayers up to $259 billion annually, making it the most expensive disease in America. And a lot of people think that it's a normal part of aging. They think that it's a disease that grandma gets that makes her forget where she last put her keys. But unfortunately, it's a disease that makes grandma forget everything. And you'd think for such a devastating disease, there would be a standardized way of diagnosing it. But unfortunately, Alzheimer's screening is not routine. There's no single standardized test that can actually diagnose the disease at either an early stage or a pre-symptomatic stage. And one of the reasons for this is that diagnosis can be $4,000 and over, because patients can be thrown around from various PET scans, CT scans, MRI scans, and sometimes even poor qualitative assessments. This leads to the diagnosis happening 2 years after those clinical symptoms are actually presented, making drugs a lot less effective at that stage.
So as Dhruv mentioned earlier, Alzheimer's disease is the most expensive disease in the US. In fact, the US can be expected to save about $7.9 trillion with early diagnosis. And one of the biggest reasons for this is that while there's about 5.7 million people living with the disease right now, this number is expected to nearly triple to 14 million by 2050. This is due to the aging baby boomer population as well as increased life expectancy. So how do we tackle the technical challenge of solving Alzheimer's disease or diagnosing Alzheimer's disease? The first thing we did is we reached out to researchers around the world and asked to collaborate with them. And specifically, we asked for their Alzheimer's data. We then input that data into machine learning and EEG software, which is able to mathematically characterize the brainwaves of those who have Alzheimer's from those who do not. We are now inputting that into new portable and affordable EEG hardware to make Alzheimer's diagnosis more affordable and accessible.
And so why is it actually important for patients and their families to understand that they'll develop the disease or whether they have it at an earlier stage? Well, like I previously mentioned, Alzheimer's is the most expensive disease in America. And so this enables patients to undergo financial planning years in advance. It also enables patients to have a clinical management drug regime and legal planning before clinical symptoms and severe memory loss actually happens. This also enables patients and families to have the option to undergo early clinical trials for novel drugs set forth by big pharma companies looking to find a cure for the disease, thereby remodeling the entire Alzheimer's drug development landscape. we started this biotechnology venture in our freshman year, November 2016, to solve a need in the biomedical community, and have since then collaborated with researchers around the globe, including Brazil, Greece, and many others. We're now generating mathematical and machine learning accuracies of up to 82% and have submitted final reports to the NIH, for which we were named one of the most promising technologies in a national competition. We've also been featured in 30+ news outlets, including Forbes, Science, Washingtonian, and many others, and are now planning an unprecedented clinical pilot study in the next coming months to gain this proprietary data to advance the technology.
So Synapto enables routine Alzheimer's screening to be put into the over 1,500 geriatric clinics in the US. We see ourselves as the first line of testing. So if you test positive with our device, then you would be sent in for further testing using MRI and PET scans. And hopefully, as our device becomes more accurate with more data, we'll be able to become not just the first line of testing, but also the last line of testing. So now on the research side, there's over 500 current clinical trials involving Alzheimer's disease. And just about all of these need some way of measuring cognitive decline over time. So this would be like a doctor wanting to investigate the effects of a drug over time. Currently, this is done with expensive MRI and PET scans, and Synapto wants to make this process more affordable, making drug development more cheap, and hopefully finding a cure sooner. Honestly, we wish our families had this.
There are great challenges and opportunities ahead of us, and with this potential $5,000, with your help, we'll be able to buy an FDA-compliant EEG device to use in our unprecedented clinical pilot study, thereby advancing Synapto's technology to the next level and building the future of healthcare enterprise.
Thank you, and as you ask questions, we leave you with a poem by Owen Donnell about the tragedy of Alzheimer's.
Great job, guys. Really, really great job. Really important issue. I know probably a lot of people in this room have loved ones who've been affected by Alzheimer's. I had a grandmother who just passed not too long ago from Alzheimer's, so I know it's really, really a big issue, important issue, and glad you guys are addressing it. Let's give them a round of applause. I also, I think it seems like a marketable business. Again, much like the two before you, highly depends on the technology. Could you give us a little bit more of an update? You said there was a clinical trial, or you said there was, you're 82% accurate in your most recent test. Could you give us, like, what's the sample size there? Any other info on sort of where you are now, and also, what does that look like, that road to get to being FDA approved, and so that this can actually enter the market?
So I'll talk about the first part about the accuracy. Yeah. So you can imagine that like medical data is very expensive. It's kind of hard to come by because it takes a lot of money to do a lot of these trials. So we have about total of over 200 patients that we're analyzing from 3 different researchers, but the data for them is different. So we're looking at a specific 25 of them, which have about 11 minutes of resting data for each of them. And what that means is that like ambient brainwave data for 11 minutes, which is a lot of data per patient. And this is for the best results, for the 82%, we use something called the Higuchi fractal dimension. And essentially what that is, it's a way of measuring the complexity of a graph. And the way we got the accuracy was we encoded the fractal dimension per patient, and then we trained the machine learning model on 90% of it, and then tested on 10%. We then trained it on another 90% and tested on another 10%. And if you do that 10 times, you're able to do something called cross-validation, and we got 82% accuracy from that.
Yeah, and something to note there is 82% accuracy is actually, compared to a lot of literature values, is higher than and very comparable to what researchers are setting out in the field. But do you want to say?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. What is it, if it's 82% now, what does it need to be to enter the market?
Yeah, so there's no real clear, definite percentage accuracy, so-called, that you would need to enter a market. What you do is you work with the FDA and to determine the industry standard, what's out there. And something that's clear is there is literally no industry standard that's out there right now because the diagnostic pathway is so complicated. But to speak on your earlier point regarding the future of this technology and what steps need to be taken to actually push this device to market, we're taking one of those steps right now, which is planning the clinical pilot study to gain proprietary data. What essentially this allows us to do is gain data that we haven't had before in a standardized and novel fashion, and it's proprietary, meaning that we're not collaborating with other researchers. So once we have built these data analytics and built this software, we can then take it to something that's called the FDA Class 2 510K medical device pathway. Essentially, that's a 180-day trial that devices like ours, since we're not super invasive, but we're also not super non-invasive, I guess, and after that pathway, the device is approved for market, and then you can undergo various reimbursement negotiations from there.
Great, thanks.
Very impressive. With Ben, it's such an important issue. And I want to talk about the human dimension of Alzheimer's and dementia, which my father had. And I want to talk about the medical community. And their capacity to actually take this information and use it with their patients. And so my question is, I want to understand a little bit more about why currently Alzheimer's is not being diagnosed appropriately, and help me understand that human piece of it.
Okay. So I was actually talking to the program director of the Alzheimer's Association, the chapter of Maryland, and she said that her group has been advocating for a long time for earlier diagnosis, because it allows for early clinical trials to happen and allows for more patients to go to those trials. But she said that doctors don't want to do it because there's not much that people can really do about it, right? There's no treatment for it. And so there is a market demand for it, but a lot of it comes down to doctors just don't want to tell patients, and a lot of people sometimes they don't want to know.
Right, perfect. So this is what I was going to, in the design of your approach, are you thinking about the kind of training and support that the medical community is going to need in order to gain access to this information and then work with their patients if the patient elects to, or the person elects to actually be diagnosed early? Because there's a lot of, you can imagine the anxiety that people might have to actually do this and do this early, and the implications for them and their families. And so how are you thinking about that human piece of this in your financial model about what it's going to take to actually get this to market and to have it be used appropriately?
So one of the things we've noticed is that a lot of times when we pitch this to different places or we talk to different places, we actually got a video out on Facebook that got over 100,000 views. And we got numerous people contacting us, asking us, can we use our device to be diagnosed? And we had to consistently tell them, no, it's not FDA approved yet, we're not allowed to. But it currently seems that there is enough market demand for us to set this out first.
Yeah, and the bottom line is people are scared. People, their fathers have had it, their parents, their grandparents, and it's been in their line, and people are downright scared that they're going to develop this disease, and they want to know, what steps can I take right now? And something to speak on your medical community aspect that you were talking about, how to integrate this technology, we, especially being college students and especially coming from this open source background and environment, we try to make we try our hardest to make the software as easy to understand and as easy to use. We want the training for the medical community, for physicians, for EEG technicians to be as low as possible. So right now we were speaking with various headset manufacturers, and we were talking, one of our first questions is, how long does it take to train a nurse to do this? Because if it takes too long, then that's going to reduce the amount of impact that you have overall.
Last comment, I just encourage you to talk to a geriatric psychologist as you design this and have them think with you as you test this out, particularly if you go through an IRB kind of study where you're thinking about, yes, you want to provide this information, but you also want to do no harm.
Right. Thank you for that comment.
Yeah.
So it's just inspirational to see you here as students doing this sort of work. And machine learning, so my first question, machine learning is the IT technology now, one of them. So what's your competition? How many other people are using open source to do the same types of things that you're doing?
So from what we've seen, that no one's really using machine learning and open source technology to do diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. Some of them will use metrics to try to quantify it, but hasn't really shown in research to be really effective. And something came out recently that researchers found something called the PET tracer for the tau protein, which might also have a huge impact on Alzheimer's disease, in addition to amyloid beta. And one of the reasons we wanted to conduct this pilot study is to keep track of that as well and make a more holistic model.
Okay, you mentioned that you had 200 patients from 3 researchers whose data you're really burrowing in on. To get it approved, how many more patients would you have to have and do that sort of in-depth work with? And how feasible is that to get those?
So we would have to discuss with the FDA about how statistically significant it would have to be, especially it comes down to a lot of like how accurate your device is, and we're not currently completely sure yet. We have an idea, so.
Yeah, so what it is, so in a clinical pilot study feasibility stage, the patient size and what we're currently planning for in the next coming months is around 50 to 60, and usually what happens, and we are anticipating this too because it's usually in a class 2 510K submission, you'll see a clinical trial, you'll need at least like anywhere from 200 to 500 patients in a class 2 approval, yeah.
Okay, and then finally, what would you do with $5,000? How would you apply that to all the questions that you need to answer?
Yeah, for sure. So in the clinical pilot, so far we've been using an open source device to determine feasibility, right? Because we're college students, we're working from the ground up. We need something that's easy, quick to use with, and cost effective. But moving to the next stage and actually trying to gain this proprietary data requires the use of an FDA approved EEG device, which there is no open source form of, unfortunately, as of now. And so that $5,000 would specifically go towards an FDA-cleared EEG compliant device, and we're already speaking to their manufacturers and thinking about partnering with them.
And actually, the one we have on the slide, this
there it
is
is.
something called wearable sensing, and the total cost for this is about $7,000, but you can rent it for 1 month for $700, so this would be enough for our clinical trial.
Okay, well, good luck. Whatever happens.
Thank you.
All right, well, now I'd like to ask the judges to leave to determine the first, second, and third places for our venture track. I have to admit, I'm glad I'm not one of the judges. And now we're going to move to the point where you also get to award $2,500 for your favorite Do Good Challenge finalist. On the screen will be the text to vote information. You can vote for only one team to get $2,500. Remember, you only have one vote. We'll give you a minute to vote now. right, time's up. And earlier tonight, you got to participate in the Do Good Showcase. And you got to vote for your favorite Do Good Showcase teams with Do Good dollars. And now we're going to have the 2 top vote getters, which was Preventing Sexual Assault and Flush X. All right? They're going to have the opportunity to come to the stage, and they're going to have 2 minutes for a lightning pitch, and then you will get a chance to text vote again, with the top showcase team getting $1,000 and the second place team getting $500. Please welcome to the stage Preventing Sexual Assault.
Hi, my name is Christina Johnson. I'm the co-president of PSA Fighting Sexual Assault, along with Nikki Wilfrey, second row. Being a survivor of sexual assault is hard. Being a survivor on a campus where, this December, the U.S. Department of Education opened up its 3rd investigation of how poorly we handle sexual misconduct cases is harder. Our administration fails to provide support for survivors of sexual assault. So PSA has worked tirelessly to fill the void missing for survivors on our campus. We provide an outlet of frustration and support for survivors surrounding this issue that is affecting 1 in 4 women and 1 in 16 men on college campuses. PSA advocates for survivors and brings awareness to our community through our events like Occupy McKeldin, Real Talk, Slut Walk, and Denim Day. Occupy McKeldin is a 12-hour sit-in on McKeldin Mall with speakers and workshops. Speakers this year included Camilla Willingham from The Hunting Ground, Bill Cosby survivor Victoria Valentino, UMD survivors, and UMD resources. Occupy McKeldin attracted over 750 students just this year. Our Real Talk event is an open discussion where students feel comfortable expressing their views and sharing their experiences with fellow students who support them. Our Real Talk events attracted over 200 students throughout this year. Slut Walk and Denim Day are 2 national campaigns fighting against slut shaming and victim blaming that PSA has brought to the University of Maryland. PSA has created a community on campus where survivors and allies can go to feel support. We have built relationships with many on-campus resources to continue to expand our impact. As only a 3-year-old organization, we are growing each year by working with our community and helping people to discuss the epidemic of sexual assault on our campus. To finish up our work this year, we'll be sending President Lowe letters we have collected throughout the year from hundreds of students, and we hope that him and our administration can listen to the voices of survivors and hear their needs and wants to make sexual assault prevention a priority on our campus.
And now our second showcase pitch team, Flush X.
Hi, I'm Charles. As founder and CEO of FlushX, it is my mission to reduce U.S. water consumption by 1 billion gallons in the next 5 years. Here at the University of Maryland, we waste 36 million gallons of water and $1 million every year on wasted toilet flushes. Why? Because our toilets are haunted. Not by ghosts, but by poorly designed sensors. Phantom flushing is a problem caused when motion-activated stall sensors are triggered based on actions such as hanging up a coat or putting down a backpack. These wasted flushes, which might seem like a minor convenience to you, drastically add up to over 2 trillion gallons worth of wasted water every year in the US. To solve this, FlushX has revolutionized the way that toilet flushing works. We have designed and have a patent pending on a device that triggers a toilet to flush based on the unlocking of a stall door. Through interviewing facility managers and surveying over 650 people, we have perfectly tailored our device to fit the needs of both our customers and our users. Since beginning in January, we've made significant progress towards launching our venture. We started by filing a provisional patent. Then we raised over $2,000 in grant money from 2 separate sources. And most recently, we have acquired signups for our pilot program from the facility manager at Stamp and right here at the Clarice to test our devices on their toilets. If we can reach our goal of selling 200 devices by the end of this year, we expect to see a social return on investment of over $1 million in the next 5 years from just these devices by saving water, reducing CO2 emissions, and boosting agricultural activities. We're asking for your votes to help us earn another $1,000 to launch this first wave of pilot testing. Thank you.
All right, and now you get to vote for the team that you want to win $1,000. And the text to vote information will be coming up on the screen. And to remind you, Showcase Team 1, Preventing Sexual Assault. Showcase Team 2, FlushX. 1, Preventing Sexual Assault. 2, FlushX. All right, my friends, we're only a couple minutes away from the judges announcing the winners of the Do Good Challenge. Let's give one more big round of applause for all our finalists and showcase teams. All right, but we're going to take just a couple minutes to play that game that is sweeping the nation called Let's Do Some More Good. Now, what we're going to do is with the next 4 top vote getters from the Do Good Showcase, we are going to ask each of them one question about a Do Good Challenge alum or Do Good Challenge current team. And just for being on the stage with us, they're going to already have won $100. But if they get the question right, they'll win $250 for their cause. And you in the audience can help them out by shouting the right answer. All right, so please welcome to the stage the coordinator of the Do Good Challenge, Caitlin Meisinger, with our first contestant.
Hello, everyone. Are you ready to play Let's Do Some More Good? All right, I have our first contestant here. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your team?
Hi, I'm Natalia. I'm a junior bioengineering major. I represent Students for the Advancement of Women in Science, or SAWS, where we provide a scientific support system to the underprivileged students in PG County schools.
Thank you for that introduction. Now, we're going to get down to business. We have our first question. I will ask you the question, and you'll have 10 seconds to decide on your answer. Audience, you are also going to see the question. Once those 10 seconds are up, then I will ask you for your answer. $250 is on the line. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, let's have our question. Press Uncuffed has been credited with helping release multiple journalists unjustly imprisoned around the world. What museum in Washington, D.C. partnered with Press Uncuffed on their campaign? Is it A, the National Geographic Museum, B, the Newseum, or C, the International Spy Museum? We have 10 seconds on the clock. We have 10 seconds on the clock starting now. 10 seconds on the clock. All right, what do you think, audience? Help her out. All right, time's up. What's your answer?
B.
All right, congratulations. That is correct. All right, now please welcome back to the stage my co-host Bob Grimm with our next contestant.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. All right, I'm here with Tommy Wares. Could you please take a minute, just describe yourself and your group?
Yeah, my name is Tommy Piantone. I'm the founder of Tommy Wares, and Tommy Wares is an ethical apparel company that partners with community-based organizations to provide a zero-cost fundraising platform.
All right, are you ready for your question? Yeah. All right, audience, are you ready? All right. The question's going to come up on the screen. All right. The James Hollister Wellness Foundation has recovered and provided medications for over 17,000 individuals. What local entity is providing expired medications to the Hollister Foundation? Is it the University Health Center, the University Police Department, or the College Park Fire Department? Audience, help them out.
What do you guys think it is?
All right, we're going to need to ask for your final answer.
Well, that's a hard one, but I think I'm going to go with A.
Yes, you've won $250. Congratulations. All right, and now Kaylin Meisinger is here with our third contestant.
All right, I have our next to last contestant with me. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your team?
Hi, my name's Kurt. I'm a biology major here at University of Maryland, and our team is Science Enrichment After School, or SEAS, and we bring fun, interactive science lessons to local elementary schoolers at Adelphi Elementary.
Great. All right. It sounds like you need to talk to my earlier contestant, right? Both of you working in science enrichment. All right. Now, this question is about a team that was up on stage earlier this evening. Remember, you get 10 seconds. Wait until those 10 seconds are up to reveal your answer, okay? All right, so we have the question coming up. In 2010, Terpthon raised over $53,000. Since then, they have raised over $4.2 million. Their annual 12-hour dance marathon is held in what location on campus? Is it A, Xfinity Center, B, the Armory, or C, the Stamp Student Union? You have 10 seconds to consider your answer and 10 seconds for the audience. Our timer starts now. All right. Let's see. We're going to preemptively ask. Time's up. What's your answer?
B.
All right. Congratulations. The audience was really helping out on this game show. All right. Now, Bob is coming to the stage with our last contestant for the final question.
All right. Thank you very much, Caitlin. I'm here with Roots Africa. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your group?
I'm Salvador Fox. I'm a second-year sustainable ag major at the Institute of Applied Agriculture. Woo woo! Here at the UMD. I'm here representing UMD Roots Africa. We're a nonprofit student-run organization that focuses on ending poverty and hunger in local African communities.
All right, well, our last question is related to a Do Good Challenge alum, Evan Lutz, who I mentioned won money on the show Shark Tank. And today, his company, Hungry Harvest, saves 100,000 pounds of produce from going to waste. It's right there. Which TV network is Shark Tank on? All right, audience, we're going to give you 10 seconds. Help him out. Is it NBC, Fox, or ABC? It's your final answer, C. Are you sure?
Yes.
Yes, you are sure.
Not Slytherin, not Slytherin. Yes.
You are correct. All right, about $250 for Tommy Ware. All right, Roots Africa. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Okay, can you hold this?
All right. And now we are going to start announcing the winners of the Do Good Challenge. But what did you think about our game? Let's do some good. What do you think? All right, a little fun? What's on you? All right. Well, I'm now going to ask Jed to please come to the stage to announce the winners of our Audience Choice Awards. There was one for the finalists and one for the showcase. Please welcome Jed, and I also want to have all of our judges and President Lowe and Dean Orr and all of our finalists come to the stage as Jed will announce our Audience Choice Awards.
So good evening again, and let me just start off by just having the opportunity to be here and be part of this. So we're going to announce the winner of the finalist Audience Choice Award, and that winner is Spark. Congratulations. Okay, and earlier tonight, everyone voted for their favorite showcase team with their Do Good dollars, and I would just say that having a chance to listen to everybody's pitches out there, just great stuff. I mean, really very interesting, a lot of different stuff going on. So we saw the two teams deliver a lightning pitch, and the winner of Showcase Audience Choice Award is Flush X. Congratulations. And I would just have to say, this is the part that I think creativity really comes into the students' thinking. These Flush X, and I don't think I would have thought about that, but congratulations for that creativity. And that means our second place for Showcase Audience Choice Award goes to Preventing Sexual Assault, and just a great, great project, great organization. Congratulations. And I would just say, listening to them, not to get lost, is the ability, once again, to show that there are places to go and that there's support in a lot of different places, and increasing that is incredibly important. Okay, so now I would like to welcome Linda Powers to the stage to join us to announce the winners of Project Track. Linda? Linda, you can applaud for Linda.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be surrounded by so many awesome TERFs who are doing so much good. Seems like just yesterday I was here pitching my own project, and I remember I had a million butterflies in my stomach, so I gotta say, it's nice to be on the other side of the judges' table this time around. All the projects did such a great job, and I can tell how much hard work they put into these projects, and they were all so diverse. And without further ado, it's my pleasure to announce our project winners. So we'll start with our third place winner in the project track, which is Nourish, Mommy and Me. All right, you guys did such a fantastic job at such an early stage of your organization. This is such a great job, and you communicated a very tangible impact. We were looking for scale and encourage you to think about a scalable model for next year. All right, and now our first place winner in the project track is Terpthon. All right, so what was really powerful about Terpthon was that we considered it a double win for both the volunteers and the kids. It provides support for the Children's National Health System, of course, as we saw in your presentation, but it also inspires so many volunteers to engage in a community dedicated to service, which is very, very powerful. We judges are just so impressed with your ability to do good. Congrats, guys. And let's not forget our second place winner in the project track, which is Spark. So we were all so moved by your mission and impressed at how far you've come in a short period of time. We think that awareness for mental health is so, so valuable. And for next year, we'd like you to define your model of impact a bit more and articulate what success looks like. But you guys all did such a great job. Congrats.
All right, and now Ben Simon and the venture judges. Ben Simon will announce the winners of the venture track. Please welcome the venture judges.
All right, you guys ready to hear who our winners were? All right, this was a really tough one for us, really tough one because we had 3 really strong teams with great early traction, impressive technology, huge markets, solving huge social issues. So I just want to, first of all, say that, look, everybody's walking home with money. Everybody's walking home with quite a lot of money here, and you all have very significant traction to date. So I hope everybody, no matter what, feels like winners after tonight. Let's give them a round of applause first. All right, so the third place winner, let me not pull a Steve Harvey here, the third place winner in the venture track is, get a drum roll, Recyclify.
Okay. Okay, great job. We love the problem that you're trying to solve. We all hate putting our trash in the wrong thing. We love that you're prototyping it here on campus. We think the technology needs a lot of tweaking and should be more consumer friendly, because I can't imagine standing there for that long, but I really hate throwing my garbage in the wrong place. So please continue.
All right. Keep the show going, keep the show going. All right. Up next. Oh. I think this is the wrong one. Okay. I want this one. We're going to want the larger one, but and yet we don't want to show it. All right. So the first place winner, we're going to jump to first place. Announce the first place winner here is Symbiont. Michelle's going to say a few words.
So we selected Symbiont first because they have a functioning prototype that is in the market. We thought you had a very strong team. You guys have been up here before. You've learned a lot from last year, and you completely pivoted on what you're doing. We're very impressed with all that you're thinking about, and we wish you great success, and we're very happy for you.
And I will give you this check. I'm not just gonna... All right.
Keep up the good work.
All right. So, and of course, second place, Synapto. Let's give it up for Synapto.
Well, we are so impressed by you. You have a great team. I know you guys met each other in high school. That's amazing. We think the potential, they told me that backstage. The potential is very broad and promising. We love the fact that you're doing it open source, machine learning, and that you've gotten attention from researchers around the world. So we think it has great potential, and you're just at the beginning, really. And so good luck to you, and great job.
All right, my friends, that concludes the 7th annual Do Good Challenge. Woo! All right. Now, go out and